entered his anus with the organ of defecation, but the Virat Purush could not be spurred to activity. The god Indra entered the hands with their power of grasping and dropping things, but the Virat Purush would not get up even then. Vishnurgatyaiva charanao no dattishtat tada virat nadir nadyo lohitena no dattishtat tada virat. Lord Vishnu entered his feet with the facility of locomotion, but the Virat Purush refused to stand up even then. The rivers entered his blood vessels with the blood and the power of circulation, but still the cosmic being could not be made to stir. Kshatridbhyam udaram sindhu no dattitash virat hridayam manasa chandro no dattitash virat. The ocean entered his abdomen with hunger and thirst, but the cosmic being refused to rise even then. The moon god entered his heart with the mind, but the cosmic being would not be aroused. Buddhya brahmapi hridayam no dattishtat tada virat rudro bhimatya hridayam no dattishtat tada virat. Brahma also entered his heart with intelligence, but even then the cosmic being could not be prevailed upon to get up. Lord Rudra also entered his heart with the ego, but even then the cosmic being did not stir. Chittena hridayam chaitya kshetraknya pravishyat yata virat tadaiva purusha salidadudattishtata. However, when the inner controller, the deity presiding over consciousness, entered the heart with reason, at that very moment the cosmic being arose from the casual waters. Yatha parushpatam purusham pranendriya manodhiya prabhavanti veena yena notha payatum ojasa. Translation: when a man is sleeping, all his material assets, namely the vital energy, the senses for recording knowledge, the senses for working, the mind and intelligence, cannot arouse him. He can be only aroused when the supersoul helps him. Purport. The explanation of Sankhya philosophy is described here in detail in the sense that the Virat Purusha, or the universal form of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is the original source of all the various sense organs and the presiding deities. The relationship between the Virat Purusha and the presiding deities, or the living entities, is so intricate that simply by exercising the sense organs which are related to their presiding deities, the Virat Purush cannot be aroused. It is not possible to arouse the Virat Purusha or to link with the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead by material activities. Only by devotional service and detachment can one perform the process of linking the Absolute. I'll read this again. It's very important, so please bear this in mind through the remainder of the 20 minutes. It is not possible to arouse the Virat Purusha or to link with the Supreme Absolute Personality of Godhead by material activities. Only by devotional service and detachment can one perform the process of linking with the Absolute. Hare Krishna. Om Ajnantimirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manopishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Utapada Kamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनसहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधा कृष्णपादान् सहगणा ललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितंश्च हे कृष्ण करुणा सिन्धु दीनबन्धु जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिकान्त राधाकान्त नमोऽस्तु ते तप्त काञ्चन गौरङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी कृष्णभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वञ्चकल्पातरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः नमो ॐ विष्णुपदाय कृष्णपृष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामिनिति नामिने नमस्ते सारस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्य देशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासादि गौर भक्त वृंद हरे कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्ण 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे So, good morning, dear devotees. What we will cover today is, yesterday was the once in a lifetime. So fortunate to be alive at this moment where Ram Lalla Pran Pratishthan happened at Ayodhya. Um, that fervor reverberating all over the world. What world? The entire universe. So, what lessons can we learn from that? People sometimes say, another temple, why you need so many temples? Over 700,000 temples are there in India. What's the use of another one? Things like that. But, whatever happens for a reason, whatever the Supreme Personality of Godhead does. Every action of his, every thought of his, even when he moves his eyebrows, his sidelong glances, everything has deep, deep significance for us here in this conditioned world, especially who would be able to then transcend whatever we are at. So, what lessons we can learn? So, His Holiness Swayam Bhagwan Keshav Swami has written an essay titled Ram, Ayodhya, and Just Another Temple. So from that, getting whatever instructions, and of course, how it connects to today's verses, the significance of Virat Roop, and how it can bring us closer to Krishna, Hare Krishna. So why temples are required? First of all, let's face, the situation, the status quo. Things are getting bad to worse. I remember in our English class when we were in high school, there was an essay we learned in literature by George Bernard Shaw, a great playwright. And he had written this essay, How Wealth Accumulates and Men Decay. Wealth accumulates and men decay. So there is a lot of convenience, creature comforts that is there. You get it today, you have your telephone in your hand. It is more powerful, it has more computing power than what the rockets that were sent to the moon, supposedly sent to the moon. That's where we are at. And now you're getting artificial intelligence, machine learning, this, that, chat GPT. Things are getting simpler, but then is man really happy? So depression is a big one. Just think about it. Every 12 minutes, someone is dying. Every 12 minutes in the US, someone is committing suicide. One life itself is so precious. 12 minutes, one person commits suicide, whereas homicides, murders, is just accounting to 16,000 deaths a year. So this is a serious problem. Our mind, it's getting more and more deteriorated. My Guru Maharaj, His Holiness Radhanath Swami says, all we need is to love and to be loved. What happens instead, as this technology increases, as conveniences increases, we love things. We are so attached to this little device called your cell phone. Everyone is all the time. If you go to a railway station or public place, people have their heads bowed down looking into their little devices. We love things and use people instead of the other way around. So that's what is happening. So with this as the basis, if we can understand this, if we can agree with this, then the next thing would make sense as to why temples are required. Now, temples, if we know science makes things better, whatever it is. And this body, incidentally, is also a thing. It makes things better, whereas spirituality makes people better, consciousness better. Now, Dhanurdhar Maharaj had said shelter is a place where all the needs can be fully met. And there is a Sanskrit word called dhamma, as a shelter where the root cause of suffering can be eradicated. Of course, there's depression, and, people have that, what is it called? Some medicine, Xanax. So that what it does is the brain chemicals and the circuitry, it kind of rewires, but temporarily. It's symptomatic cures. However, Band-Aid cannot stanch the blood flow of a bullet wound. Yeah. So the root cause of a suffering, when you get to the Dhamma, this is in one of our ICNJ classes, Bhagavad classes or somewhere. I heard, I'm sorry, I forget who the speaker was. So Dhamma is where the root cause of suffering can be eradicated. Now, the other thing to understand that Krishna is the Paradhama. So if you'd like, you could go and see revised chapter 10 of Bhagavad Gita, 12 and 13 shlokas. He's the Paramdhama, supreme shelter. There are so many shelters that we have, right? As children, we have shelter. As uh, a fetus, we have shelter of the mother's womb. When we come out, we have shelter of our parents. When you grow big, you have shelter of these four walls. You have shelter of your job. So many other things. But the supreme shelter is Krishna. Krishna is same as Rama only. In fact, when we say the Mahamantra, in absence of Rama, the Mahamantra cannot be complete. It is Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So, dear devotees, don't think Rama as any different or Rama as any less than Krishna. He is the exact same as Krishna, who has come his manifestation as the Maryada Purusha avatar. Hare Krishna. Rama is absolute. So therefore, Prabhupada says, what does absolute mean? The absolute value of -1 is same as +1. So Rama is absolute. So there's actually no difference between him, the person, his personality, his form, his flute, his bow, his arrow. It's literally identical. His prasadam, he eats bhoga, that gives the flowers which are absolutely no different. His murti, his abode where he lives, is identical with him. So temples are these manifestations of his abode. And in Sanskrit, the word for temple is called manadir. It's a compound word. Mana is mind and dhira means steady, meaning the place where the mind is steadied. So now we see that, with so much of disturbance, the mind is always turbulent, always turbulent, all the time these thoughts, self-defeating thoughts, self-injuring thoughts are always there in the mind. To an extent, we can control it, but it keeps popping up here and there. So Dhamma is this place, a mandir, where it can be steadied. That's what the temple is. Also, an institution. We go to school to learn. We go to colleges, universities to get more and more knowledge. What we're trying to do, elevate this material consciousness to a higher state, which is called the spiritual consciousness. Also, it is a cultural center for bhakti. What is culture? Gauranga Prabhu had said, culture is the means and processes to achieve a particular goal. So, for example, in the Vedic culture, we offer obeisances, correct? You offer obeisances to Vaishnavas, you offer obeisances to Guru, you offer obeisances to deities, we offer obeisances. What does that obeisances? It's a process, it's a practice. Why do you do it? You do it so that it can inculcate humility. This is the topmost part of us, the head, what we call the crowning glory, correct? So I'm placing it right at the bottom of the entity's feet, which is the lowest part, your feet. So that process is what inculcates humility. That is a culture. And when it is repeated over a period of time, generation, it becomes a tradition. So this tradition of bhakti, loving devotional service, correct? That culture is taught in mandir, and not just taught, it's also practiced, because the mandir provides facilities where it could be put into practice. And the most important thing of bhakti, sadhana bhakti, the ABCDs, association, learning books, chanting, deity worship, prasadam, you get it? That's where it is facilitated. Hare Krishna. Now, a very, very simple way to understand it, we have these spas, and we are so caught up with this body. Of course, body is a vehicle. We should have the proper perspective. It's not ours. It belongs to Krishna. We need to take good care of it. But we are so much overly indulging in this body. Our hair starts getting white. Immediately, we want to fight age. So we start putting dye. And now this Shringar, of course, Matajis do Shringar. It is proper. It is nice for Matajis to do Shringar. But now even Prabhus have started doing Shringar. I do not have a comment on that. I don't have a quarrel with it. That's fine. Whatever floats your boat, that is fine. But the Bhagavatam has described, this is what will happen. Men will start doing Shringar in Kali Yuga. So this is like spa. What a spa to the body. What happens when you go to a spa is you feel rejuvenated. All the dead skin. What is it called? That removal of dead skin? Exfoliating. Exfoliating they do. The dead skin they remove. This, that, everything. They polish you. And you become so attractive and pleasing to your senses and other people's senses. So similarly, mandir, what it does is it polishes the consciousness. Cheto darpana marjanam. Yeah, it polishes the consciousness. And then what happens when that consciousness is polished? We are naturally attracted, whatever is a spontaneity, it is not some artificial, to Krishna. That's what happens. And once that happens, is then we can get out of this ugly thing called birth, old age, disease, death. Hare Krishna. So this is the significance of the temple. And next time, just be a little mindful when we visit a temple. We have a tendency for something so sublime to take it for granted, whether it is our relationships or whether it is our deities, whether it is our temple. So this is what is the meaning of why temples are required. And just as these instructions which Maharaj has given in his essays, from which we have taken these main points, okay? Similarly, when we're reading about the Virat Purush, this third canto, the entire Bhagavatam, or any other scripture, it is to elevate our consciousness and get closer to Krishna. Hare Krishna. Now, what is the significance of Virat Roop to our sadhana? We're all doing practices, correct? Some are doing it very nicely, some maybe not so nicely. Uh, Two steps ahead, one step backward, doesn't matter. Keep on the process, keep walking. Hare Krishna. So, this, all the content, I have had the good fortune to subscribe to Gita daily. His Grace Chaitanya Charan Prabhu. Uh, every day he writes 300 words essay on Gita, which is practical for our day-to-day lives, how you can put it. Anyone interested, please let me know. I can send you the link. Also, I can send you the link to Maharaj's essay. So what it said is that Prabhupada says that the Virat Roop is an imaginary meditation tool for the neophyte devotee. Initially we may have, all the khichdi which is going on in our mind, that, oh, who is God? God is love, God is light, God is power, God is this, I'm God, you're God, everyone else is God. So when people have some kind of a confused, misunderstood, or incorrect understanding of God, impersonal understanding of God, then the Virat Roop is there. So that is something like an analogy wherein they are able to relate. Please understand, Virat Roop is the material form, and there's nothing about Krishna which is material. He is spiritual, fully spiritual, just like we also are spiritual, our soul, nothing, but it is in contact with this matter, identifying with, you all know that, what happens there on, the whole issue, identifying with the matter. So in Bhagavatam 1.3.28, it is, what we just spoke. So that people who are neophytes are able to adjust that, Bhagwan has form. Okay, he has eyes. I have eyes, he has eyes. I have nose, he has. So whatever the different limbs, organs, so he can map it. And then it becomes a little bit easier to understand that Lord has a form. Hare Krishna. Very important. Prabhupada has stressed over and over this point. Life doesn't come from matter. Matter comes from life. Of course, now science is trying to prove that you could bring life from matter. Sachirani long ago was telling this, that there's this, it's kind of a little humorous thing. There's this scientist, we are going to be making life in a laboratory. Okay, fine. So that scientist goes to God. He says, "Arey, people say that you're responsible of life, you're the source, life comes from you, etc., etc., etc. But, I will show you, I'll do this. Because the human body have completely figured out the genome. I've completely figured out these are acids and proteins and this and that and whatever else it is. And we are going to do it. So I'm going to assemble all those ingredients, chemicals, etc., and I'm going to create a life in the laboratory." So God says, "Okay, let's see." So he starts collecting all the chemicals. And then before he can even begin his experiment, God says, "Hold on, get your own material. All these are mine. You want to create, no? Go and create." So this is what it is. Sarva Karana Karanam. It's so simple to accept, yet so difficult actually when we're trying to put this into practice, when we get the sense of proprietorship. So life doesn't come from matter, matter comes from life. And consciousness is it's self-explanatory. In absence of consciousness, absence of the soul, the body is there. We say, no, oh, he has left. Who has left? The body is there, the exact same body is there. So it is consciousness which animates the body. We see Virat Roop, all the demigods, great personalities, they enter into the body, the different organs, correct? But doesn't move. Only when the deity of consciousness enters it, that it gets animated. So another thing we can understand from here is that there are demigods are the directors of all the senses. We think, okay, I'm speaking, my tongue is vibrating, I can move my hands, things like that. It's no, actually, it is the directors, the demigods who are controlling this, and the demigods in turn are controlled by Krishna. Ishvara Parama, supreme controller, Krishna. Very, very important point. There's a difference between Krishna's sanction and his intention. So people say, oh, all heinous things like terrorism, murder of innocent children, hunger, this, that, whatever exploitation is happening. So it is Krishna's will, correct? He is the controller. So ultimately the buck stops with him. So the way to understand it, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu says, is, he's given this example of the wind. Another very easy example to understand is the government, the authority, builds the highways, etc., everything, does the facility. Then it has a director called the DMV, who issues the license to allow us to drive on these freeways and parkways or whatever else there are, right? So we have all these things, facilities which have been made for us. Now we, with our independence, instead of following the 65 miles an hour, we are zipping at 90 miles, 100 miles to see how fast the car can go. So who is responsible? Is it the DMV which gave you the license? It's as good as a license to kill. You'll kill yourself, you'll kill others on the road. So we, with our free will, we are making you. So who is responsible for that? Is it Krishna because he made all these roads and facilities and everything else? So that's how we have to understand. There's a difference between his sanction and his intention. Hare Krishna. And the final point is Krishna is immense. We are infinitesimal. So obviously the immense controls. So we are controlled. We are controlled. He is the controller. Problem is we are all trying to be little Ishwaras. We all want to exert control in our circle of influence, whatever it be. Hare Krishna. So what is the significance of all this? We have learned stuff, correct? A question was asked to Romapad Maharaj. Maharaj, service is the most important thing. Action, you get it? You get realization. Why do we really need knowledge? I could just be serving. I could just be singing for the deities. I could be cooking. Some act of devotion, some action. Why do I need all this mental thing? And anyway, all these things go above me. I can't even follow it. So Maharaj gave a good answer. He says the reason we learn, we study, we get knowledge so that it would help us serve better. Things become meaningful. We understand the what, why, where, who, how, then you're not just doing it mechanically. So you can at least be a little thoughtful. And when we are thoughtful, when we are doing something, the outcome is obviously much, much better than a haphazard manner of doing anything. So the essences and practices, what we can get, what is the essence of this Virat Roop? What can we learn from that? And then how we could put it in our daily practices. So the first one is we need to be aware, be aware of our surroundings, be aware of our situation, what's going on around. Life is whizzing past us and we are whizzing through that. Life is going this way and we are going this way, not a moment. I think it was Wordsworth, right? What is this life of full of care? We have no time to stand and stare, no time to stand as sheep and cow and stare as long as to the bows. Anyway, I forgot all this. But see how this is what our life is. We go in public transportation, we are sitting in the train, there are so many jivas around. Each jiva is unique. Each jiva knows something that we know nothing about. You get it? Rather than have conversation with people, we are here. We are stuck, to our telephones. Hare Krishna. So be aware. The next is be humble. Because if you are aware, please understand that, this Virat Rupa is meant for making us aware. Yeah. Be humble. We think we are the doer, we are not the doer. So humility, and then always be serving. What does the part do? The part is meant to serve the whole. So these three things are the essence. And now what we can look at from awareness, how we put it into practice is currently what you all are doing. We get up in the morning, we, bathe our consciousness with Bhagavata Katha. Then in the evening, it is Lord Rama, his katha is going on. So this is what is happening. And of course, through the day, whenever we get the time, we should have the practice to actually read, study, scrutinize, discuss, have discussions. Then what Prabhupada says is we can surrender with intelligence rather than become fanatics and surrender our intelligence. Hare Krishna. Humility. Humility is, everyone knows this word, Trinadapi Sunichena. You wake someone in the middle of the night and say, Trinadapi, he'll immediately say, Sahishnana Amanani Namanaden Kirtaniya Sadahari. So, yeah, but in practice, what is humility? There was this devotee with a lot of enthusiasm. He went to Prabhupada and offered his obeisance and said, Prabhupada, I'm your most humble devotee. Most humble devotee. I am your most humble devotee. Prabhupada looked down at him and he said, You're the most of nothing. You are the most of nothing. So many a times what happens, even devotional service can become an ego boost where, we climb higher and higher on that pedestal, thinking that I am the doer. Yeah. And oh, I sing so well. Oh, I give such nice class. Oh, I decorate the deity so well. Oh, my prasadam. Oh, this, oh, that. I do stuff which no one else can do. Yes, it's an act of devotional service, no doubt, albeit, it is boosting our egos. So you are the most of nothing. Keep this in mind, but not as an inferiority complex. Bhakti, I think it is Bhakti Tir Swami Maharaj who said, don't think less of yourself, but think more of others. Think more of others. So when we are mindful, Romapad Maharaj has said this, when you're mindful, it develops an attitude of gratitude. And what happens when we have attitude of gratitude? It dismantles this arrogance that we have. And then, of course, service. There is this prayer in the Bible. Our Father who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy will be done. Yeah, so beautiful, thy will. Unka kya ichha hai, what he wants. That is what we should align ourselves with. And there was this prayer we used to sing as kids in school. All that I am, all that I do, all that I ever have, I offer now to you. Take and sanctify these gifts in thy honor, Lord, knowing that in serving you is enough reward. All I am. Knowing that in serving you is itself my reward. There's nothing I want. I don't want, oh God, I should find a nice groom for my daughter. Oh God, I need a bigger house, blah, 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 nothing. So this is what it is. So, Hare Krishna, devotees, I'm running a little late. Thank you very much. Any questions, please post it on Nityam Bhagavata Sevaya. Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Over to you, Madhupati Prabhu. And, with your permission, I will sign off now. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you very much, Amritananda Prabhu. I would like to wish everybody a safe and Krishna conscious day ahead. I would like to offer our prayers to the Supreme Lord by chanting Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare
Rama,
Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare
Hare Krishna,
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama,
Rama 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 Hare Hare
Hare
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Rama Rama Hare
Jai Singha, Jai Singha,
Jai Singha Jai
Bangladesh, Jaya Mukha
Mukha Padma Bringam
Ugraviram Mahavishnu Tarantam Sharutom Narsingham Vishnu
Isham Mutya Mutya Mam
Narasimha Bhagwan ki Jai.
Jai
Bhagwan ki Jai.
Jai.
Let's offer our humble obeisances to all the summer Vaishnavas.
Vanchakalpatarubhasya
Sindhu
Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namah.
Vaishnavinda ki Jai.
Jai
Bhagavatam ki Jai.
Jai
Srila Prabhupada ki
Jai.
Gaur Premanande
Hari 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 Bol.
Thank
Thank you
you.
everybody. Hari Bol.
Thank
Hare
you.
Krishna.
Hare Hare Bol.